Hey friends, it's Haya. Welcome back to our homeschooling secrets. You have made it all the way to secret number 7. Now this one is one of the most hardcore truths for anyone that is new to personal development to absorb and accept. And especially when it comes along to relating to our children. So secret number 7 is this. Victim's mentality won't fly. Okay, what are we talking about? Well, first of all, remember, we're talking here about 19 homeschooling secrets, little known secrets that allow you as a homepreneur, a mompreneur, a work from home parent to blend your child's education with your occupation during global isolation. So there are very secret things here, very specific things that we can do here that we wouldn't normally have to take into consideration in regard to homeschooling. Like nobody was expecting the whole world, obviously, to be homeschooling all at once, right? So when we're looking at victim's mentality, what does victim's mentality mean? Well, first of all, it means that we are blaming, or we are complaining, or we are justifying our situation in any way. Whether we're, blaming the government, blaming the weather, blaming God, blaming our parents, whether we're justifying ourselves and making excuses right and left, or whether we're complaining, and just, spewing toxicity. Because if we're doing any of those things, it is the exact opposite of our ability to change the situation. It's giving away our power. And how does it do those things? Because if we're complaining, then we're just spewing toxicity. We can't actually, change the situation. We haven't yet taken ownership of it, and we can't change anything until we take ownership of our situation. Now, there are a couple of very, very good books that I have read over the last decade or so in regard to taking full ownership, taking full responsibility for where we are holding. Now, you may ask, okay, how can I do that? Like right now, how can I take responsibility for coronavirus? It's not necessarily that you taking responsibility as in you were to blame, as in you caused the problem, but it's how am I contributing to anything that and everything that is around me. So I can either be a part of the solution or I can be a part of the problem. I cannot belong in both camps. Okay, so in regard to understanding that victim's mentality won't fly, remember what we talked about, that what's caught is absorbed and internalized much more than what's taught, right? So in regard to victim's mentality, this is probably one of the single most important areas where that applies, and where victim's mentality is so contagious. It is so contagious, and it is contagious whether or not we are even aware that we're passing it along. So you know how it's very, very obvious in our country and in our world today that the fear that is surrounding this coronavirus is actually much more deadly, much more poisonous, much more toxic, and much more far-reaching than the actual virus itself. Same exact thing is true with victim's mentality. So yes, we're on quarantine. Yes, we're in a lockdown. Our bodies are in a lockdown, but our minds and our souls are not in lockdown. They do not have to be on quarantine. So I may not be able to leave my home, but I can still take charge of my nutrition and my fitness within my home. Do you know that group of universally, like literally around the world, that are known for being extremely fit and extremely strong, both physically and mentally, without having one piece of gym equipment using nothing but their physical surroundings and their body weight. Do you know who these people are? Prisoners. Prisoners! So if you feel like you are living in a jail, like lockdown, if a prisoner can make themselves in the best shape of their lives, why can't we? The only reason we wouldn't be able to do it is because we haven't taken responsibility. So we are still living like a victim, blaming our situation, justifying where we are. And the truth is that we don't want to change because it's more painful to go through the change than it is to stay where we are. Okay, and now I'm not talking about you, of course. I'm sure you're different, but I'm talking about the universal you. This is how it works. So until we decide that the pain of staying the same is more painful than the pain of change, then we will never be willing to go through that pain of change because we don't want to get uncomfortable. We talked about this a few days ago with the laws of the subconscious mind and how it works to protect us from pain and drive us toward pleasure, correct? So if I know that prisoners around the world for all of humanity, like for all of history, have been able to become the strongest on the planet mentally and physically using nothing but their grit, their determination, and their physical surroundings, whether they're running up and down the stairs or they're doing pull-ups and push-ups right where they're standing or they're doing high knees and running and jumping jacks, there's no excuse for us. Okay, so that's in regard to our physical fitness. Now, in regard to our productivity and our purpose and our intent, okay, we can either choose to binge on Netflix and whatever's left in the pantry, or we can choose to invest our time in totally repositioning ourselves in our new, like, albeit weird version of normal, so that whenever this madness passes, we have totally played a game of leapfrog with the universe, and we have positioned ourselves for success right here and right now. Now, why am I talking to you about all of this in the middle of a homeschooling video? Because what gets caught is absorbed much more than what is taught. And your mentality, your mindset, whether it's a mentality of a victim or of a creator, whether you are someone that is solutions oriented, whether you are a warrior, whether you are abundantly minded, all of these things will pass along to our children because they are absorbing it from what is happening with us. So we can either be angry and mad and bitter that we're having to homeschool and nothing is right for us and look at everything is wrong and everyone is so sick and why is this happening? Why? Blame, justify. And you can hold on to this fact that it's not fair, or you can make an on-purpose choice to release bitter and become better. And here's the thing. As a leader, now remember, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So first I have to lead myself. I'm leading an army of one. Then if I look around me, if I'm influencing, if I'm a parent, of course I'm a leader because I'm the leader of my family. So we have to understand and take ownership for the fact of life that we cannot teach what we do not know. We cannot lead where we do not go. We cannot give away what we don't have. And everything that we're talking about right here, it's all mental. It is all mindset. Remember, life is only 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond. So regardless of what has happened up until now, if you decide from this moment, from this point forward, that you're going to let go of that victim's mentality and you're going to pick up an attitude of empowerment and ownership, and that you are going to be the navigator and the captain of your ship for your family from this point forward, everything will change. And I can promise you with every fiber of my being, that will influence and affect your family more than any algebra or trigonometry or anatomy or biology or history lesson that you could ever teach your children. I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.